Hello, welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Maverick here with episode 3 of Spectre. So, this episode was late a little bit again. Get used to it, guys, because the winter season for me is a season where I am I am out of town a lot. Sometimes for work, sometimes on vacation, sometimes to visit my parents, because of all the various holidays and whatnot. But, I'll do my best, right? Anyways, I doubt you guys want to keep on hearing my apologies over and over, so let's just get into the meat of it, right? Anyways, last episode we were still in the midst of trying to unravel the mystery of the case of the, I guess, stat guy. I there's not really a case name, I guess you could say. But anyways, we're still left with some lingering doubts, right? Particularly for the snake yokai, who I guess really just wants to know why somebody was murdered and why the suspect was one who did the murder, and so on and so forth, right? Anyways, I do have my guesses. My personal guess is that the lady did, I believe she's named Aoi, right? Aoi. She did want the police to find a body, in order to cover up something, but I don't know. I'm honestly not that confident in my prediction for this so far. I feel like with the first case in the bag, seeing how exactly they do the sort of plot twist and whatnot, that's probably going to make it easier for me to sort of get a feel for the series and know what direction to look for any future mysteries. So for this first one, let's just see what the heck will happen. Right? All right, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Alright, right into it. Have the police find something. Knife? I guess the knife is a memento? Or whatever the thing it was that... Huh. But, I guess a memento from boyfriend? But how would you work that out, though? Yeah. Anyways, so here's the opening. I've just... No, actually... Okay, never mind. So anyways, I've decided to just include all the openings from now on, because there are some people who would prefer to actually sync up their videos with this. By the way, that is the reason why you still see a little bit of a shadow as to the on-screen stuff. Why I still keep a video there. It's more for syncing purposes. It's not for you guys to actually watch it here, right? Like, there's no reason to watch it there. Of course, there's the, the timing as well, but, it's just for convenience purposes. Mononoke in the fiction. So I guess in the future they have some sort of they can utilize some special power, fighting power. Obvious, there's more power to them beyond just physical stuff.
沼に凶器を捨てることは犯行を隠そうとする行為です。
そんな犯人が自首するはずがない。
そうです。登山者の多いこの沼なら死体はすぐに発見されるでしょう。さらに取り調べで大蛇に死体を食べてもらいたかったということで、正気を疑った警察が事実を確かめるために捜索をより一層熱心に行うはず。
では、あの女は何を探させているのです？かつて何を沼に沈めたとお考えなのです？
それはかつての恋人町井義和さんに関わ
Right.
るでしょう。5年前の事件で彼女は町井さんを憎んだでしょうね。しかし全ては吉原博夫に。
Let me guess.
彼は無実だったと。
A ring?
谷尾葵は恋人を憎んだのを悔いたと思われます。
なるほど。自分を裏切った男を思い出す品など捨てたくもなりますな。そしてそれを取り戻そうとしたと。いやしかし、そのような物品を回収させるくらい。
Yeah, not to mention.
もっともです。彼女は恋人の事件後、一人暮らししていた町からこの故郷に帰ってきました。そういう恋人に関わる品は引っ越しの時に処分するものです。多少写真やプレゼント類が残っていても、燃やすかゴミに出すかで十分。
But that doesn't answer the question of why she wants to admit to the crime. For the purpose of getting the memento back?
恋人との間にできた赤ん坊とか。
What?
恋人の死後、帰郷した葵はやがて自分が彼の子を授かっているのに気づいた。
Really?
知らない彼女にとっては自分を裏切った男の子供です。子供に罪はないとはいえ、どうするか悩んだでしょうね。しかしある日、彼女はその子を自宅で未熟なまま流産し、エイジの遺体が彼女の手元に残り、
Okay, okay, that's
それは処理に困るものでしょう。誰にも話せず、一人きりで。
that's a bit more.
そして先月、
Hmm.
谷尾葵は恋人の死の真相を知り、自身の行いを悔いた。
I mean,
遺体を引き上げてちゃんと弔わねばと考えた。だから警察に沼を捜索してもらう計画を実行したんです。
I'm not 100%
されないでしょうね。
on board with this, but
さっき言っていました。沼は定期的に掃除させていると。彼女の赤ん坊が沼に沈められたのはおそらく4年前くらい。ならとうに山のあやかしたちが取り去っていそうです。谷尾葵はかつてこの沼に小さな屍を捨てた。誰にも見つからないよう夜中に一人山を登ったのでしょう。だから再び男の屍を夜中に捨てに来るのを思いついた。屍を沼に捨てることによって大切な屍を取り戻そうとしたわけです。これが主様の証言と矛盾せず最もありそうな話では。
I don't. I'm not completely sure if this makes complete logical sense, but alright, let's just roll with it.
あの推理は本当なのかい？エイジの遺体なんて。
実際のところ谷尾葵は警察で全く嘘をついておらず、主様に本当に死体を食べてもらおうと思っていたんでしょう。主様に会う前、浮遊霊に留置所にいる谷尾葵の様子を見にやらせたんですが、大蛇が死体を見つけてくれなかったんだろうか。
She can talk?
漏らしてい
Oh.
たそうです。
それを知っていて君は嘘を並べ立てたのかい？
ええ、そうです。とはいえ、私の説明は辻褄が合ってます。
No, I don't think that explanation
でも
was
合理的に行動すると
reasonable at all, but okay. This actually makes it a bit more palatable for me. It's just a story um to tell to the serpent.
極端なことを言えば、主様が彼女のつぶやきを聞き間違えていたなんて可能性もあります。だとすれば、すべての前提が崩れますよ。
主と呼ばれる大妖怪が聞き間違いとは絶対に認めないか。
はい。だから私が知恵を絞ったわけです。
Okay, okay, okay.
力は分かったよ。でも 自分の身の危険について考えた方がいい。
だからそれはクロウさんが一緒にいてくれれば。
付き合う条件として妖怪退治に手を貸すなんて聞いてないよ。
認めましたね。
Yeah. Yeah, that does kind of admit that you two are dating, you know. Don't argue with her. You can't beat her logic. Okay, so in the end, that was basically a case that's not. Wait, what? 2 years later?
でさ、バイトの新入りの子がかなり可愛くてさ、あとすっごく大きかったんだ。え、何がって？
Boom.
目が
Oh,
でかっ。
this is the. This is the lady from the opening.
はい。
この前焼肉に誘った時、牛肉を食べるとひどい別れ方をした前の彼氏を思い出して気分が悪くなりますのでって断ったよな。なのになんでカルビ定食を食べてるの？
いつまでも過去にとらわれてはいけない。積極的に乗り越える努力をしているんです。
そうか。乗り越えたら言ってくれ。また焼肉に誘う。ところでお前、3日前に枕川の事故処理をしたろう。
はい。
調書には車の前に犬が見えた気がして慌ててガードレールを壊して川に突っ込んだってなってるが、最初は違う話をしてたそうじゃないか。
水に浸かった車から助け出され、興奮状態で話した内容です。落ち着いた後で思い違いだったと当人が否定しています。
じゃあ事実なんだな。その大学生が最初2メートルくらいの長い鉄骨を携え、フリルの目立つ赤と黒のミニスカートのドレスをまとい頭に大きいリボンをつけた顔のない女性が突然車の前に現れたので慌ててハンドルを切ったって言ったのは。
はい。
なぜ犬の方の証言を採用したんだ？
飛び出してきたのが霊でも犬でも変わりませんから。
だいぶ違うだろう。
寺田さん、後人七瀬を探しているんですか？
The lady
ご
say.
存知ないですか？じゃあ七瀬かりんは？
確か今年の初めに亡くなったアイドルです。
Idol?
あんまり良くない噂でメディアを騒がせていたような。
そうです。そのメディアから逃れるためにこの枕坂市のホテルに隠れてたんですが、ホテルのそばの工事現場で鉄骨の下敷きになって死んだって、
Okay.
胸の大きなアイドルです。それが最近また噂になってるんですよ。
やっぱり自殺だったとか？
いえ、出るんですよ。
Just come back as a ghost to hug people.
アイドルだった頃の衣装を身につけ、自分を潰した鉄骨を片手に持った顔のない七瀬かりんの亡霊が。
お前はどう思うんだ？
亡霊の話は文書に残すものではないと判断しました。
Why is she faceless though?
お前の感触が知りたい。後人七瀬っていう亡霊
That seems
ここいらは歩き回ってると思うか？
probably also significant way.
大学生の
Faceless.
タイヤ痕と突き破られたガードレール。そしてあの場所に残る異質な空気感は本物だった。あの大学生が常識ではいるはずのないものを見たのは本当だろうと思います。
市内のいくつかの交番に後人七瀬らしき不審者を見かけた、襲われそうになったっていう相談が持ち込まれてるんだ。
直接交番にですか？
現場では見間違いか思い込みとして適当に聞き流してるんだが、先月の半ばくらいから市内での不審な傷害未遂や通り魔の被害がいくつも報告され始めてる。
寺田さん、後人七瀬が本当にいて人を襲っていると考えているんですか？
おいおい、俺の頭がおかしくなったみたいなこと言うなよ。亡霊なんか信じちゃいない。生きた人間が起こしてるに決まってる。
もしそんな変装をしてあちこちに出没しているとするならば、いたずらや愉快犯にしては手が込みすぎていますね。
俺はそこが引っかかる。そこまで手間をかける必然性があるとしたら、よほどの理由、よほどの狙いが裏にあるんじゃないか。
She wants her revenge.
犯罪か何か。直接的な被 害や証言が市内で出るようになったのはここ2週間。ネットでもそのあたりから急に情報が増えてる。噂の発生からその時まで準備をする時間はあった。そして最近になって動き出した。噂話を真に受けてる刑事なんて格好のいいもんじゃない。だが何かはある。最近では地方都市ほど組織的な犯罪の温床になりやすいんだ。今のうちに
I guess these two are also prominent characters as well.
後人七瀬の出現を大きな犯罪の伏線と感じている。けれど後人七瀬は本物だ。犯罪、暴略といった体のない本物の亡霊。この先何が起ころうと警察が対処できる相手ではない。
お前も手を貸してくれたらありがたい。
寺田さん、一応心に留めておいてください。この世には幽霊も妖怪も確かに存在する可能性があること。
なんだ弓原、お前そういうのを信じるタイプだったのか。
幽霊は見ていませんが、妖怪なら見たことがありますので。
何の話だ。
我々の理屈が通じない相手があると、この世にはそういうこともあると思っていないと足をすくわれます。
おお。
言っても無理なのだろう。私はそう思っていなかったせいで前の彼氏と別れることになりました。
ああ、お前の彼氏は妖怪か幽霊だったのか。
Something more. Hmm.
おい弓原。
Huh. So it wasn't just that one incident at a river.
本当に肉を食うと気分が悪くなるんだな。水でも持ってこようか。
いえ、大丈夫です。ともかく寺田さん、人間の理解の及ばない何かは存在します。くれぐれも気をつけてください。
ああ、わかった。お前がややこしい恋愛をしてたことは十分にね。
結果的にややこしくなっただけでして。
じゃあな、よろしく頼む。
Alright, and so this was like this was the thing that tipped the scale.
人間は恐ろしい。お前たちは何者でも食らい、何者とでも交わる。お前のような化け物を生み出すとは恐ろしい。
そんな化け物が婚約者でどう付き合うか真剣に考える時が来るなと。
さきさん、
どうして想像できるだろう。あの日以来、これまで信じてきた世界が歪み、不安がりながら日々を過ごすうちに、その者たちの
She's gonna meet the lady, isn't she?
こんな鬱屈した生活はいつまで続くだろう。毎日登るこんな坂道でさえ不安だなんて。
Oh, no, it's her. What's she doing here?
大丈夫？
墓の痛みに比べればこれくらい。
What?
生々しい例を持ち出す。
だって一番痛い経験だったんだから仕方ないじゃありませんか。よっこいしょ。
最近の子供は妙な冗談を言うのね。子供？いや、いくつだろう。
どこのどなたか知りませんが、ありがとうございました。
随分と小柄で可愛らしい。けれど、この不思議な存在感は何だろう。
せっかく助けていただいたのになんですが、悪いことは言いません。逃げてください。
何から？
Ah, there she is.
王子、七瀬。
逃げてください。あれは目の錯覚ではありません。あれはああいう存在、亡霊、 妖怪などと呼ばれるもの。
分かってる。あの空気感は本物だから。
あの大きい胸も本物ですね。
そこは問題じゃないでしょ。
She has a gun?
冗談じゃない。もうたくさん。カッパから逃げて、クロウ君から逃げて、結果
Huh. She doesn't recognize?
こんなものに人生を振り回されているのにもいい加減腹が立つ。不条理。今夜限りで断ち切って。
Work?
こんなの
So, Kuro-san's going to come out.
逃げてくださいと。
Oh. She's able to. And this is 2 years later, isn't it? Alright, waiting for Kuro to show himself. Oh no. Never mind. She's gone.
引いたのか。でもあれは力ずくで倒せるものじゃない。
わけがわからない。霊に体当たりできるなんて。この子は一体何者？まさかこの子も人ではないのか。
ご安心を。義足です。負荷をかけすぎると外れる仕組みです。外れないとかえって体を痛めたりもしますから。
私は触れなかったあれに、あなたはなぜ触れたの？あなたも妖怪変化の類。
ああ、いや、それの中間に位置すると。
She's a goddess!
どこのどなたか知りませんが、勇気ある方、今日のことは忘れてください。後陣七瀬は近日中に私が何とかします。そのためにここに来ましたから。くれぐれも警察沙汰にはされないよう、私についても。
Oh, she knows who she is.
詳しくは書で聞かせて。この坂の下だから。
なんと。
その足はいいけど、あちこち打撲や擦り傷はあるでしょ。手当てしてあげる。安心しなさい。調書まで取る気はないし、むやみに身内に連絡取ったりしないから。警察にはすでに後陣七瀬が原因と思われる事件が報告されていて、無視するわけにもいかない。
She's just like,
交通課巡査の弓原咲って、ひょっとして咲さんですか？
何を言ってるのかわからない。
髪が短くなって少し痩せましたが、ああ、だから気がつかなかったんだ。ああ、咲さんなら助けるんじゃなかった。ああ、いえ、見殺しにまではしませんが。
わかるように説明しなさい。あなた私を知ってるの？私の方はまるで記憶にないんだけど。
you're the ex of my boyfriend.
ご挨拶するのは初めてですね。岩永ことこと言います。桜川九郎先輩の今の彼女です。
uh, of course. Alright, that was kind of interesting. Quite funny, actually. But, anyways, see you guys after this. Okay, so that was episode 3. I guess we should talk about the first half of the episode first, where we get to the conclusion of the previous episode and the, I guess, previous story. Well, all I can say is thank goodness that that wasn't the correct Fury in the end, and that was really just a sort of way to, calm the spirits, right? And really the reason why I wasn't that thrilled with that being the Fury is because I still feel like it doesn't really make sense, in a way. So let's think about it for a second. If the lady didn't want to be caught, right? She actually didn't want to be caught. then she would obviously actually go through all the different steps to make the crime be exposed as far away as possible, right? Preferably if the police never found out about it. Then she would do things like weigh the body down, etc., in order to make it so that it's not so easy to discover the body. Like, think about it. If the body had been weighed down, perhaps it's going to be a long time before the police ever find it, if ever, and she might get away with it, right? So, obviously, she wants to be caught. Otherwise, she would have done other things. And so, why? Why does she want to be caught, right? The thing that's been put forth here is because she lost something in the pond, in the lake or whatnot, and she thinks that by putting the body in, it'll convince the police to actually expand their search into the lake in order to get it back. Now, I'm not quite sure that I just directly buy even that kind of reasoning, because, like, I don't know, what could be so important that you would willingly take the blame for a murder, right? That's gonna put you behind bars for at least, I don't know, even with probation, at least 10 years, right? And especially since this is Japanese criminal system, I have even less knowledge about that. But still, would that be worth it? Just for some sort of memento, even if it was a dead corpse of a body? Like, of a baby, I mean? I don't know, man. I don't really think that really makes sense too much. But I guess it's entirely possible. Like Kotoko said in the end, when people do these things, they aren't exactly thinking rationally. It could also be a case that, you know, she lost all will to live, something like that, and so she doesn't really mind whether or not she's going to be sent to jail for murder or whatnot. I guess it could be possible, and then so that's why she confessed to the crime, or I mean, I guess she shouldn't say confess to crime, but she's not really doing anything to hide from the crime, and she figured that she killed two birds with one stone by putting the body in there so that she could also gain free resources to search for it within the lake for something, right? But then again, even if that were the case, how could she be convinced that the police would actually, you know, the memento that she was looking for would actually be something that's that the police think is tied to this current case, right? I mean, like, think about it. If it was really a dead baby or whatnot that's been in there for 4 years already, would the police really think to connect that with this current lady here? I don't know, man. I don't know. So there's a lot of questions there, and I guess they left it a bit open-ended, which I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. But at the very least, they didn't really put this forth as the, you know, the final conclusion, the final how should I say, the final truth for this current case, right? So at least it's got that going for it. And I feel like maybe the reason why they didn't really put out a correct answer for this case is because it's really telling us the purpose of Kotoko's existence here is not really to solve mysteries and be a detective, but actually to find a way to calm the yokai, right? That's her number one priority, to go around and alleviate the fears or concerns or whatever, you know, if these yokais or spirits are getting wild or something, do something to control them, right? That's her main purpose. Her main purpose is not to solve some real world mystery or whatnot. At least that's what I'm getting from it anyways. I don't know if that's true or not, but, you know, added on to the second story of this current episode with the steel lady and whatnot, I think that's a pretty good a pretty good guess, right? So all right, so let's move on to this second story here, right? First of all, the police lady. Honestly, I didn't Saki, I believe. I actually didn't recognize her at first. But once she mentioned something about an ex-boyfriend, then I kind of made a connection. Oh, this is probably that lady from before in episode 1, right? So we got that. And I guess, I don't know, the entire back and forth between her and the other police officer, I feel like could have been cut short by a lot, but I guess we did get a little bit more information in regards to Kuro, right? But not really anything that we didn't know about already, so I'm not entirely sure, you know, what the purpose of that scene was. It all led to the end where, I guess, in a sense, you could say that the scene was made so that we can see the effect that entering into this world and knowing about this world of spirits and yokai had, what effect it had on Saki, right? And so that's what led her to, at the very end, just sort of lose it and then charge against the lady there because she wanted an end to all this, right? And I guess in another sense, you know, she's actually able to see these things, right? Including the kappas and whatnot. And I don't think normal people can see them, right? So obviously she has some affinity with the supernatural as well. I don't know if it's whether or not she's because she's you know, she's close to Kuro or something like that. Maybe, maybe not, but I guess we'll know more in the future. It seems she's a character to stay, especially with her meeting Kotoko as well. You know, I can definitely see how she's going to be involved in the story going forward as well, right? And speaking about her meeting with Kotoko, you know, that was honestly, that was quite funny. And Kotoko, deflowered, most painful experience. I don't know, man. I feel like she's still trolling us in a certain way, right? Getting us to believe in things that not didn't really happen or whatnot. But hey, if it did, more power to them. They are a couple now, right? I actually wasn't expecting a time skip of 2 years. That really came out of nowhere. But yeah, I guess they've both her and Kuro have had time to know more about each other in 2 years, perhaps even more than we thought, right? But anyways, and I guess one other thing to observe is that she's a lot stronger than a normal human, right? We had this thing last episode where Kuro was like, hey, why are you heading headstrong into these situations? You don't have any special powers, yada yada yada. But at the very least, she seems much stronger than a normal human, right? Being able to leap that high in the air on only one leg and whatnot. I mean, come on, even gymnasts or Olympic level people aren't able to do something like that. So yeah. But anyways, back to the main point about calming the yokai. I feel like especially for this second story here, probably what's going to happen is they're going to investigate what actually, you know, what's causing this steel lady here, this former idol, to become a spirit and still haunt the living, right? Typically these things are when they have some regrets or they died in a unsightly manner. You know, there's some things that there's some kind of hatred or whatnot that they still hold, resentment that they still hold, which is causing them to not be able to pass on to the other world or other life, right? That's how these kinds of spirits or ghosts typically go. And I feel like what's going to happen here is that Kotoko is going to get involved and learn, you know, what is her regrets, what are her regrets, what are things, you know, who are the people who wronged her, that kind of thing, and look into her story and then solve the story for her. So that might be where the detective skills come in over there, right? And just a quick guess right now, I think it's probably something to do with her being faceless. That's probably one of the clues to solving her story and why she is a ghost right now, right? You know, what drove her to hide in this small town, and was the steel beam that hit her actually an accident? Well, actually, I think it might be an accident, but she obviously still has some regrets or some misgivings about her entire situation here, and that's why she's still a ghost. So, I think that's it for this episode. Honestly, I'm not too impressed with the story right now. It is only 3 episodes in, but I'm sort of meh on it. The reason that I do enjoy this series is more in the characters, right? And the banter. I mean, Kotoko was just an interesting character to me. Right? I like her. So, hopefully, you know, the story can pick up more, and we can get to see more banter and more of Kotoko being a smartass, right? Both literally and figuratively. Alright, that's it for episode 3. See you guys next week.